pros and cons of homeschooling because they wanted to start homeschooling their child and or their children.
Save gas.
And they said, what are the pros and cons? And it was interesting to see how many of these parents who homeschooled were like, one of the cons is that you have to create a structure and you have to follow this curriculum and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you don't have to do any of that. That's a choice you're making. You're choosing to take your child out of a traditional environment, but then wanting them to follow the rigor of a traditional environment when
Why'd you take them out?
that's not necessary.
Right. It's not necessary.
I mean, we have...
Well, it depends on what you're trying to teach them.
Yeah. Well, and that was another part of my thing. I'm like, if you're going to stay in the U.S. and you want your child to follow a traditional education path, so you want them to graduate from high school, you want them to go to university, and then you want them to get a job, then you need to keep them in that traditional structure. But if that's not what you want for your child, and that's not what your child wants for themselves, then why are you still forcing it? Clearly you took them out of school for a reason.
Right.
A lot of these moms took their kids out of school because there wasn't enough diversity. The teachers weren't equipped to handle the child's ADD or ADHD or whatever it was, the child's personality. They weren't equipped. And so the parents took them out of school to then fill in those gaps. But trying to force that traditional structure isn't filling in that gap. If your child didn't do well sitting still all day, what makes you think that your child is now going to come home and sit at the kitchen table and sit still for 2 or 3 or 4 hours doing this work because that's what you want them to do? We have to get out of this mindset where we think that kids have to sit still to learn. They don't. So it was just really fascinating there were probably 50, 60 women who were all saying, oh, you have to find the right curriculum and you have to go with this accredited program and you have to do this and you have to do that.
I mean, but if the state mandates that you do that, then you have to do that.
Well,
because every state is different.
Every state is different. And that was one of my suggestions. Check with your state laws. Find out if they can do virtual school. If virtual school is an option, is that something you want, or do you want to find a different type of curriculum? And a lot of them were saying that they were struggling with finding curriculums that weren't faith-based, because that's a huge, huge market in the U.S. There's all
People
these
that are
Christian...
faith-based that want to remove kids because of the secularization of public schools. They want to get their kid out of that. Well, what else are they going to choose? They're going to choose something faith-based.
Well, I remember when Aaron and Keegan were taking ballet, and I would say 90% of those kids were homeschooled kids, and they were either one extreme or the other. These parents were. They were either hyper religious and super conservative, or they were the total other end of the spectrum where they were very liberal and they didn't want their children indoctrinated in all this nonsense. And I found that I kind of leaned more towards the liberal end, but I could see some of the conservative side too, because I grew up in a very conservative area. And now when I look at how we have educated our children, I see more that we are that liberal parent where we're like, they don't have to sit still. They don't have to follow this guideline and this curriculum set forth by government officials.
But all that being said, they have to know how to do it.
They have to know how to do it.
That's the issue. I think if you're just a parent whose lifetime of your learning was none of it was in education, you might need a curriculum.
Absolutely.
Because
you need that guidance.
It's going to be too overwhelming to start thinking about like all the different things that a person needs from K through 12 and trying to meet all of those needs, and you're not equipped to meet those needs.
Right.
You might be equipped for one small sliver of it because of whatever you study.
Yeah.
But all that other stuff, you had no interest in it before, and now you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Okay. There's that. So it makes sense to get
But
something.
there's also this thing where parents think that they have to know it all in order to be able to teach it, when in fact, you don't need to know any of it. You just have to be willing to co-construct and learn together with your child.
Yeah, but see, that's just it.
And that's where...
I don't think most people that are doing homeschooling are not trying to be teachers either.
No.
They're trying to find a way to basically have their child self-teach when the child was never ready to self-teach.
Oh, yeah. Like when I talk about Aaron and Keegan all the time, it's that when we start a new school. This year it was really fun because the teachers are like, well, where do your kids go to school? And I always say at home. And then they want to know, well, how do you make sure they get their stuff done? You just tell them to do it. And they just look at me like I'm crazy.
You can't really make sure.
I mean, yes, you can.
Sure, I can.
That's what homework is. That's what most of a day for any regular teacher is checking to make sure that students did what they were assigned.
Right.
That's what we do. I mean, you've got to assign something and then have the student do that thing, and then you have to go and check it.
And then
Either with the student or without the student, you've got to check, and then you've got to go over it with the student. Yeah, that's kind of, I don't know, 2/3 of all teaching, and then assessing.
But I think, like for us, well, for me anyway, I check your stuff in very different ways, because you will say, Keegan will say, I'm going to watch One Strange Rock for science today. I'm like, okay, great. You can tell me about it later. And then later, she will come back and she will say, oh, I learned about this thing and I learned about that thing. And she'll tell me all the cool things that she learned from watching One Strange Rock.
That you started watching, right?
I did.
With the Will Smith.
I did.
And she'll tell me all these cool things and I'll be like, okay, great. So now I know she actually did what she said she was going to do, and she learned all these things from watching the stuff. I don't need her to write stuff down.
No, but here's like I said.
But that's my way of checking.
But but that's only one, you're only dealing with one. She's only being forced, because I mean that's mostly what education is forcing people to do stuff they don't want to do.
Right.
She's only being forced to do one thing. And
Give
this
her
is
a report.
Right. And you've got to strengthen those other muscles as well.
Yeah.
Or at least those other abilities. Can you write it down? Can you make something about it? Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you express yourself in multiple different ways using the information that you got from that thing?
Well,
that's most people, parents that are out there, that's too much work.
Yeah, because they've worked all day, or they,
Right.
taken care of the house, and they washed the laundry, and they did the grocery shopping, and made the foods,
Hey,
and
don't talk about laundry.
blah blah blah. Listen.
Doing laundry, unless you are hand washing, you're not doing anything when you do laundry. Move
Right.
on.
You
people.
put it in a container.
The machine did
You
the
push a
damn
button.
laundry.
You
In
take it
Thailand.
from another machine and put it in another machine. You push a button.
It's kind of the same thing with that dishwasher.
In Thailand, we did laundry.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did laundry.
And it was like a group effort.
Yeah, it was. It was a family event.
And when it started raining or something, then it was moving it around, and it was, come on now.
Putting all the fans pointing at it in the
But I mean,
space.
that's, like I said, I think it has to do with the parents and how well they are equipped to do that. Because then there's also, where does the child go when they don't understand? Now, we used lots of online things as well as books.
Right.
CK-12,
Khan Academy,
things like that.
YouTube, Crash
just
Course.
whatever place you could get that information, and no matter how boring that thing might be or whatever, if you can get it, get it wherever you can get it.
Right.
From whomever. It did not matter. It did not matter
Yeah.
who the teacher was. And that's what I keep trying to make students understand. It's not the teacher necessarily. It's your dedication to learning that thing. You can get the information, literally everything that you want to know. All you got to do is go to the library. But most people don't ever do that.
This woman said something, asked a question about YouTube. Do you let your kids watch YouTube? And somebody
How do
said,
you stop people from watching YouTube?
this woman was like, my kids watch YouTube all day, every day. They're homeschooled, so, you know, we use YouTube a lot. And this same woman came back and said, I yell at my children every day to get off YouTube because you can't learn anything from YouTube.
You can learn everything from
Man,
YouTube.
the community blew up.
Even how to get out of a boat.
That's right. While in the boat.
I was like,
Yeah.
anything you want to learn, anything, you can find it on the YouTube. YouTube is a free educational space.
It's literally everything.
I learned how to make
Taught
dream
myself.
catchers.
I'm still learning stuff about my camera, the one recording this show right now. I still learn stuff about that camera that was put on YouTube 5, 6, 7 years ago about this camera so that I can use it better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I've had it for years now. But there's always a little thing. It's like you can do this thing, or you can do that thing, or you can use it in this way. And you pull up the video, you watch the video, and then you move on. I mean, it seems like I think when you remove, go get a book, and you remove having a test, and you remove the teacher not satisfying what the teacher wants, and when you remove all those things, people then call it you're not doing education anymore. That is the idea that education can only happen one way.
Yeah,
and so then homeschool people always butt up against this idea because you can do this if you have a friend who's really good in math, they went to school for something dealing with lots of higher math, but your child is not getting math very well, but they don't see a relevance in it, but they love building with Legos. Now, if you have a person that really understands math, say from an engineering standpoint, or something even in art, they can see the connections between, say, the Lego and the math. They can see how those things work together, go together, and how they could just very quickly say, oh, well, if you like doing this, then we could just do this, the one simple thing, and all of a sudden, it all makes sense to that child. I guess my point is, don't be afraid to just step out there and find whomever, living, dead. I mean, most of the people that you read in your books are dead people.
Right.
You just find anyone that knows what you don't know. But why are you looking for it? See, that's the thing. That's where I think the biggest problem comes in is parents take on the exploration of the topic in order to try to present the topic to the child like a teacher.
Right.
And it's
Instead
like,
of
just let the
explaining
child
together.
go.
Yeah.
Just say, okay, what do you want to know? You want to know about this thing? You've got the tools. Go. Take them to the library. Definitely we're going to be trying,
Not me.
we're going to be trying to get on the YouTubes all of the back stuff every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That's my goal. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, a new show, a new piece of a show uploaded.
All right.
So stay tuned.
Don't stay tuned. Go to fucking YouTube. Ring the bell and all that bullshit. Do that thing.
Like, subscribe.
There was one YouTuber.
And comment, because we want to hear what y'all think.
One YouTuber doesn't have an outro, so he's just
I
like,
have an outro.
do all the things that YouTubers say you to
I
do.
know. Y'all know what
You know
it
what
is.
to do. You watch this. Just go do it.
If you found us on the YouTubes and you're watching on the YouTubes, guess what? You know how to do the YouTubes. Ring the bell and blah blah blah. If you want to follow the Traveling Farrs, you can find us on the YouTube, Facebook, Pinterest, iTunes, Spotify, and the Google Podcasts at The Traveling Farrs. If you like Instagram and Twitters, Traveling Farrs. If you like the email, travelingfars@gmail.com. And the blog space, thetravelingfars.blueberry.net. No E's in the blueberry. The paper I forget every damn day. If somebody asks me any of this information, I need this to tell them.
So, Aaron,
I now put it on my desk because, I don't know.
are you going to start blogging this year?
Vlogging?
Blog? With
Blog?
The writing of the things?
Writing?
No, that's your job.
No, I think I'll be, if I do anything, I will leave this like this,
It'd be
and then I'll just do vlogging.
Okay.
Vlogging's more fun.
Why would I do vlogging? Vlogging is boring.
Yeah,
It's just
it is.
you. It's
Just
just
you
you
sitting-
typing.
Just you sitting there.
Angrily typing away.
My opinion.
Yeah, no.
Instead of.
I can just opine right here.
That's what it's called, man. When you
I
share
can-
your opinion.
Do it right here. I can do it for the people. I can do it live.
Oh, God dang it! I knew I was coming.
Say goodbye to the people.
Bye.
Peace.
Have a good weekend. Or whatever day of the week you're watching us.
I have to pee. So bad.
Whatever day of the week you're watching this.